evening, everyone. Welcome to the June 13th council meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock p.m. and I would ask for an adoption of the agenda at this time.
Moved by Councillor Rock, seconded by Councillor Zielinski. Be it resolved that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Okay, any questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Oh, I forgot you were there. That was kind of scary.
I'm here.
So do you want me to leave all this for you to sign when you get back?
Sure.
Okay. Next thing, confirmation of minutes for the May 24th council meeting and the May 24th committee of the whole meeting.
Be it resolved by Councillor Rock, seconded by Councillor Zielinski. Resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting and the committee of the whole minutes of May 24th, 2016 be hereby approved, all statutory declarations having been complied with.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion on that? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Just 1 second. Okay, next thing on the agenda is citizens period. First we have Community Futures North Central Development here to make a presentation. If you want to step up to the microphone and just state your name and your address, please, for the record.
Thank you, and good evening, members of council, your worship on the phone. My name is Tim Johnston. I'm general manager with Community Futures North Central Development out of Thompson. I'm joined this evening by Chris Smith from Ducks Unlimited, and we're here today following some conversations I've had with the mayor to provide a bit of an update on the status of Northern Values. I was here approximately a month ago, I guess, to provide an update on that at that time and some information, and wanted to touch base again just to give you a bit of an update on the work that's been done since then, as well as where we're at overall with the process. Just a little bit of background again. Community Futures North Central Development is a community economic development agency. We service 17 communities out of the Thompson area, 7 First Nations, 7 Northern Affairs, 3 urban industrial. I answer to a board that is comprised of 1 member from each of those communities. We are very similar in nature to Cedar Lake Community Futures. We have the same mandate, which is to assist entrepreneurs in terms of business starts, expansions, and acquisitions. In addition, North Central plays a role in an awful lot of community development initiatives, and that's what brings me here tonight. We've been involved over the years, largely because of the geographic location that we have and the relationships that have developed over the year to service a number of areas in northern Manitoba in a number of different areas regarding community economic development. That's how we arrived at Northern Values. As I reported last time I was here, Northern Values really got its start here in the PAW in February of 2015 when the province of Manitoba hosted an event to talk about the creation of a boreal plan for the province of Manitoba. Following that event, a number of stakeholders and rights holders came together and decided it was important not just to entrust that job to the province, but as a region that Northerners should come together and have a discussion about what's important from the Northern perspective and feed that into the process that the government was going to undertake. Further, leading up to the last provincial election, we knew that each of the provincial parties had developed a Northern economic plan. Again, the thought was the need to present to those potential governing parties a strategy that talked about the values of Northern Manitoba. We now know we have a new government in place. We are confident that the government will continue on the path of developing a boreal plan, and this government has indicated a desire to create an economic plan, being Yes North. So, the government is doing their work. Our group, which is comprised of industry, municipalities, First Nations, Northern Affairs communities, environmental agencies, and local chambers of commerce have come together to create a common set of values to suggest to government that that would form the basis for any development of a northern plan that they may want to pursue. Our goal is to support and assist the government by indicating the wishes and the desires of northerners in terms of what's important when it comes to community sustainable development. I can tell you that we've had very good response since I was last here in terms of signatories and supporters. When the process first started in April of 2015, we brought together a small group of industry, municipalities, including Mayor Scott, and First Nations, Indigenous communities. We worked on a basis to take to a larger group. We did that again in the POM. Councillor Rock, you attended that event, I believe, in October of 2015. At that time, we presented Northern Values. Since that time, we've been working with all the stakeholders and rights holders in terms of determining the best steps forward in working with the provincial government or other agencies. To date, we've asked for individual organizations to look at supporting or coming on in support of Northern Values in two ways. One, by becoming a signatory, which is by way of an official resolution from whatever group they might represent, be it municipalities, and I can add that we have Churchill, Thompson, Flin Flon, Snow Lake have all passed resolutions supporting Northern Values. In addition, we have supporters, and those are organizations that have come on and have not passed a resolution, but have indicated in writing support for the intent of Northern Values and a desire to continue the discussion. OCN is a supporter. So, at this point, at the last stakeholder meeting about a month ago, it was determined that from here on in, those signatories and supporters will begin to formulate the action plan for how to engage the province and how to move forward in terms of action steps on sustainable development in Northern Manitoba. The intent is likely to bring together the signatories and the supporters in the very near future, probably within the next month, to have a session facilitated by a third party to clearly determine the next steps and where, as a region, we want to go in the dialogue with the province of Manitoba and how we can work with the province in terms of moving Yes North forward and our values together. I want to say that over the course of the last number of months, we've had discussions with industry, including here in the PA area with Tolko, with the mining industry in Thompson, and we fully appreciate and understand the concerns that they have in terms of ensuring that there's a viable economic future for industry to play the role and the very important role it has in Northern Manitoba. The document that we present, and I want to be clear, represents the interests of Northern Manitoba and where Northern Manitobans want to go. Last week, my board held its annual general meeting and our board of directors meeting. It was made very clear from my board that North Central Development, which has been coordinating this process, will only stay at the table in that capacity if this document truly reflects the wishes, the intent, and the direction provided by Northerners. And I want to be clear, despite whatever process may take place in another jurisdiction, such as the Boreal Plan or Yes North, this document will be driven by Northerners for Northerners about Northern Manitoba. So, I'm happy to be here again, provide you a bit of an update. Again, I would encourage and ask that the town of the POM consider a resolution to become a signatory of Northern Values. And I can tell you this, that becoming a signatory commits you no more than to be at the table for the discussion that is going to take place in the near future. At any point, any signatory of supporter has the authority, the right, and the obligation to the mandate that it has to continue to either be at the table or to leave the table, depending on if Northern Values continues to reflect the position of that organization. So I look forward to any comments or questions. I'm going to ask Chris if, from the Ducks Unlimited point of view, and I'll just clarification, North Central's contract in coordinating Northern Values has been with Ducks Unlimited Canada. Chris?
Just to add a few minor points. You know, one might ask, well, why Ducks Unlimited? We've been invested in conservation efforts here since the mid-1940s, and our work is very central around the PAW, but more recently we've been extending our interest further north. So we feel that being part of Northern Values is really important to helping us achieve our mission. Part of development includes levels of conservation, which is our business. So we felt it was critically important for us to be part of this process to ensure that the values that we represent and the supporters that we represent are upheld within the context of this Northern Values document.
Thank you.
I welcome any comments or questions.
Brett?
Yeah, having attended both those meetings and seeing, what impressed me, one, was the broad cross-section of Northerners that came out and spoke at them. I think this is a group, and it's been a process that is representative of a broad cross-section of the North and deserves our support going forward as a council. The wording of the document we can review, and I would like to, and I don't know what the term is, I'm still new at this, but maybe sponsor a motion or whatever, so that going forward we can bring it to council as an action item at the earliest possible opportunity, hopefully maybe the next meeting.
Andrew?
Question. Just in generalities, I mean, you mentioned several municipalities as signatories. You identified that industry has been at the table and has been able to provide you with, some reference points with respect to where industry would position itself with respect to how the Northern Values document or proposal or guiding document or whatever it is would exist. But industry, like in general, it seems as though municipalities are passing resolution and signing on as signatories. Industries in general are generally supportive, but are not. Have they provided letters of support, or have they just kind of said, that's great, we're just going to kind of wait and see what positions, Northern Manitobans take on this before we weigh in, or?
Yeah, it's a good question, good point. The Manitoba Mining Association, through one of its committees that works in Northern Manitoba, has signed on. But industry, and we've maintained communication and dialogue and their participation at the table. But industry, and rightfully so, is taking a wait-and-see approach in terms of ensuring that the dialogue is taking place with all stakeholders and rights holders, and to ensure that this document is in no way going to limit opportunities, but create opportunities in terms of moving forward. So I'm confident that industry will continue to be at the table in the dialogue, and it's critical that industry is there. I have indicated before that a number of years ago there was an agency called Norman Regional Development Corp that brought the municipalities and the industry together. It was fairly successful over the years. The one stakeholder, right holder that wasn't at that table was Indigenous communities, and the difference in this process is that this process has brought all the stakeholders and the rights holders. My hope is that this document, when it is provided to government, will form the basis for moving forward with a continued dialogue, and a mechanism will be put in place to ensure that dialogue continues between industry, municipalities, Indigenous communities, and conservation, because I think that only when you have that dialogue can you truly, really realize the opportunities that are out there, and I think that's taking place. I think we just need to create a mechanism where we're sure we're at the table together.
Okay, thanks.
Chad?
So you say that you're bringing a meeting together of signatories and supporters within the next month or whatever it happens to be. And you just said that you haven't really had industry sign on. They're taking a wait-and-see approach. Are they going to be invited to the meetings without being a supporter of the document?
Well, that's a very good question. So I know that the mining industry will be there. We will continue to have dialogue with other industry to make sure that their concerns, their comments are shared. And I think that that's going to be up to the group of signatories and supporters, and that's one of the first questions I imagine we're going to be asking them is, who are those other critical links that need to be at that table during that dialogue? And becoming a signatory or a supporter in no means was to exclude people, but it was to focus the discussion so that we can continue to move forward. But I can tell you that there's no doubt in my mind that all of those stakeholders, rights holders have to be at the table for this to be effective and truly to be about Northern Manitoba.
For sure.
Anybody else?
So to be clear, if we want to sit at the table and help formulate the document, we need to be signatory. As somebody providing a letter of support doesn't necessarily provide you the same opportunity to be part of that focused group that's driving the Northern Values document.
Yeah, I think that as a signatory, I think it brings you to the table as one of those lead agencies that are saying it's very important, and I think put you on that same sort of basis that the other signatories are at. Again, it's not it's an inclusive process that we're trying to get to, but I think there's times when we need people to stand up and lead, and being a signatory are those people that are standing up and saying, yes, let's have this dialogue. And again, I just want to reinforce it. For me, the process is everything. Bringing people together to have this dialogue is critical. And if at the end of the day, that's what produces this document as Northern Values, and it can serve as a basis for others to formulate actions that have the jurisdiction and authority, such as the provincial government, then we will have done our job. And I think it's those groups that come to the table as those signatories and leaders that will create that opportunity for that to take place.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Can I just add something there?
For sure.
Okay, good. I just think that, perception sometimes is reality, and if it's perceived that a name is not on the list, then maybe they were opposed to it. So I think we have to think about that. I think that if as Tim says, this represents the interest of Northern Manitoba, of which we need to play a leading role in, that's part of our job. They've had talks with TOFA, they've had talks with LA, they've had talks with Hudbay. I don't think we want to be on the outside looking in. I would like to see this come up at our next committee of the whole meeting and see if we can't get a resolution for our next council meeting.
Thank you.
That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Okay, next is 4.2, Canadian Union of Postal Workers. If you guys want to come forward to the mic. And then if you could just have a seat and state your name and your address, sorry.
Hi, I'm Geraldine Beck, and I represent the Canadian Union of Postal Workers.
So I can't hear you.
Okay. Hi, Geraldine Beck from the Canadian Union of Postal Workers.
Hi, sorry, you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
So I'm here regarding Canada Post plan to convert 750 mailboxes into community mailboxes. I heard from Crystal that you guys have received a letter, confidentially, and I was wondering what your plan was from there as the town. This mode of delivery would greatly affect our public post office. It would be the beginning of it shutting down. The services would go jobs would go, and the union is definitely against that. Some of the questions I had for you guys was, what kind of information did Canada Post provide in your letter? In the one that we got, it was based on, on bogus information that we were over capacity of 200 people in general delivery, when in fact we have over 700 boxes available for rent right now, and we only have 35 people currently receiving general delivery mail. The union has consulted with Canada Post, gave them the correct information, but that they didn't say that the deal was off, that they're still considering it. So I'm asking you guys to back Canadian Union Postal Workers. Yeah. So, what else? Some questions I had was, where are you guys sitting on this matter? Are you aware that Canada Post has acknowledged that the initial information was wrong? Did they let you guys know after that other letter? Have you consulted the community? I'm guessing not. And if you are, when are you planning on doing so? Do you guys support keeping us open? There are many pitfalls of putting in so many CMBs at once. Changing the mode of delivery would be a mess. I have some examples if you want to hear. Noise, litter, traffic congestion. I don't know if Canada Post knows that half the paw. Have you seen the map in your letter?
I haven't seen the letter from Canada Post.
No, we got
We
it.
had
An email.
It was an email. It wasn't a formal letter, it was an email saying
Okay.
that they're in
Didn't really
discussion with staff.
specify on the map where the boxes were going to be.
And I think it was fairly clear that it was an open discussion. There was nothing yet formal. We weren't asked to reply to anything.
Okay.
It's part of the agreement that if anything happens, Canada Post notifies us of any pending changes or discussion.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, on the map,
No, that's
it's,
okay.
it's 7th Street South. So on a map, it's like half our town.
7th Street.
South.
South. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if they know that half those streets don't even have sidewalks. So where are they going to put them? Like, these are questions I would be asking. Frozen locks is a big one. Snow removal. You guys would be getting the calls. How come I can't get to my mailbox? You know, that kind of stuff. And with the major address change, residents are going to have to change licenses, bank statements, town mailings like water bills, tax bills. Businesses are going to have to change their stationery, checks, and seniors are going to have trouble with that too if they don't have a computer or mobility issues. So those are some issues to look in on such a wide, big scale. So that was all I really was going to put forth.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak on this issue? Before we move on to comments and questions from councilors? Does anybody have any?
Nope, okay.
I've been using one of those practice ones for the last 10 years, I think, so I don't know what to say.
If there's any paperwork by any means you'd like to leave with us, feel free to drop it in, Jen.
Sure.
I'm wondering, though, shouldn't we maybe just, they have a meeting with them? See what they have to say, because my understanding is there's a big, long waiting list for people who are in general living looking for post office boxes. The post office has never been busier with online shoppers. So I'm wondering, maybe we should have a sit down with them and say, the last thing I want to do is see jobs disappear. They're asking for a meeting. Hello?
It's like silent.
I think that's a good idea. Under the Canadian Postal Service Charter, they have to consult with you guys. They have to consult with the residents of the town for any mode delivery change. So if this is something that's going to happen, for sure.
Right, and Jim, just to clarify, when you said we should have a meeting with them, who was the them you were referring to?
Well, I don't know. I think it would be with probably the executive of the Paul Local 838 project, 1721. 2021.
Okay, there just seemed to be some confusion, so I thought we should clarify that. And
No, sorry. I mean, the letter's written by John Beck, and I think we should meet with her. And then
That's who's here, Jim.
Yeah.
That's who's speaking, Jim.
Okay, I'm sorry, it's very hard to hear.
I just don't see what a meeting's going to accomplish at this point. You know what I mean? Without more information from Canada Post. Like, we could sit down and you could present us with basically what you presented us tonight, but I honestly, I can't see the purpose behind a meeting at this point, if everything's just kind of in a holding pattern with Canada Post right now,
It was
or?
basically to open discussions, let us kind of know what's going on. I'm sure if we share the information and send a letter with our concerns.
Yeah, I'm sure we could do something, we could put together.
so maybe you can send us the information that you have, and we can take what we've already gotten from Canada Post and put it on the agenda for the next committee of the whole and see what we're gonna do moving forward from there. If there's a response from us that we want to compile and send out to Canada Post, then
Okay.
for sure we can do that. But yeah, we, like I told you, we got an email, I didn't tell you really what it said, because for us it was marked confidential, but yeah, we kind of, we did get an email, but that's pretty much, all I could kind of tell you. So other than the email that we got, we haven't really discussed it, because it was kind of like a, like a kind of, I don't know, like an FYI, I guess, right?
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't take it as something that was going to happen immediately, so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Good. Thank you, guys.
Okay, so item number 4.3, Jack Hebert, increase in taxes and the state of the town.
Do I have to repeat my name again?
Yes, and your address, please.
Jack Hebert, 323 Bignell Avenue, the Palm, Manitoba.
Thank you.
Okay, it's unfortunate that every time I come here, I've got nothing to do but gripe. So let's open it up by a couple of kudos first. Your garbage pickup is absolutely excellent as far as I'm concerned. Your spring cleanup and everything, they're bang on, they're ahead of the time, they're polite, they don't leave a mess. That's one.
Thanks.
Street sweepers have been doing a really good job, considering the fact that leaves and lots of garbage and all that stuff. Not bad. For the last 14 and a half, 15 months, I've been virtually a daily visitor of Lakeside Cemetery, for reasons I care not to mention right now. And the maintenance out there is pretty good, but it seems like the maintenance guys out there are pulled away from there to do other duties. So there's other stuff that could be done out there that would put our cemetery in line, on par with some other communities I've seen that have really well maintained. Just by going out and walking around, and there's markers and stuff that are sinking into the ground, and there's, a tree breaks and falls over, and it takes a month for them to clear it off, and there's damage and this and that and the other thing. So the guys are doing the best they can. It's kind of a kudo, but it's kind of a, you guys give them some more time sort of thing to maintain a little bit, make it look decent sort of thing. And of course I've got a personal investment in that now sort of thing. Okay, let's, I don't know whether you want to go through all this stuff, maintaining properties and stuff like that. Potholes, I just wanted to bring up potholes sort of thing. There's some potholes in town sort of thing that you guys just ignore. I don't know why. Right by the Legion there, the avenue, there's 2 or 3 potholes right on that corner, right by the RCP station, the West Canada, that corner sort of thing. They've been there since spring. And nobody's done anything about it sort of thing. It's hard to maintain a vehicle when you're continually running over potholes up and slamming your vehicle into these things, and then the next thing you know, you've got maintenance problems and all this other stuff sort of thing. I know you guys, and I'm not going to make excuses for you guys, I know you guys are filling some of the potholes in here and there as it is sort of thing, and that's all well and good sort of thing. Something I wanted to add to real quickly is the engineering staff that you guys have are highly educated, et cetera, and I know this is a problem for every community. There's got to be a better system to fix those potholes, to make them last a little longer. You can only put so much stuff into those holes sort of thing, and after a couple of 3 rains and a couple of heavy trucks over there, they're back. So, take it from a carpenter's apprentice at one time sort of thing, When you put in a driveway, you use rebar, you use wire mesh or whatever sort of thing, anchor it in there so that the asphalt or the concrete or whatever has something to hold on to sort of thing. But you can't just spread peanut butter on a pothole and expect it to stay there, okay? Enough of that. There's a whole bunch of other stuff. I know that you guys want me to keep it short. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Property taxes. My property taxes went up $400 this year. Why? Don't have to answer that right away. Just mark it down and why. And if it's get to the point where I'm going to start to be a pain in your butt sort of thing, maybe you'll listen and maybe you'll do something. I don't know. I have my property tax bills here from 2012. I'm not going to go through them all. But my property taxes in 2012, first of all, the building assessment was $132,700 and the land was $17,100. And my property taxes were $36.20 and change. The next year, the building and land assessment didn't change, but my taxes went up $260. Okay? In 2014, my building assessment went up from $132,700 to $153,700. The land went up $17,100 to $19,200. My taxes went up from $38.72 to $39.39, which wasn't bad. I can handle that. Okay, it's fine. It's a thing. It's a cost of living thing. In 2015, same thing. Building and land assessment, same. Didn't change. Taxes went up $44. Okay, I can handle that. You guys can sneak that in, and hopefully nobody notices, and that's all fine. This is 2016 now. My building assessment went from $153,700 to $197,200. My land went from $19,200 to $26,900. My taxes went from $39.87 last year to $43.96 this year. What are you guys doing?
Sorry, what was that last number, Jack? Sorry?
You guys think that a stroke of a pen to get somebody to up our assessments gives you the right to pummel us with taxes like that? For what? I've been living in the same place for 16 years, and I'm coming here with the same old story every time I come in here, sort of thing. I've got a triangular lot. I've got no back lane. What have I got? I've got garbage pickup. I've got to maintain my property, my hedges, and keep it clean and all this other stuff. Otherwise, like one of the previous superintendents did a few years back there, decided to send everybody dirty letters and saying how messy their property was. Well, he didn't last very long. But, it's just, I don't know what it is. What did you guys buy within the last year sort of thing that you needed to hit us with the taxes like this? We had a mild winter last year. You guys didn't have, as far as I can see, not that many water breaks to do. What happened? Did you guys go out and buy a whole bunch of new equipment again, sort of thing, and then put the onus on poor taxpayers here, sort of thing? I'm in a different situation now. As of last year, I retired. So now I'm on a fixed income. Before, one of my complaints was the raises that I was getting at my job did not cover the extra taxes that I was paying, sort of thing, the percentage-wise sort of thing. They had us down to like 1% every 2 years or whatever sort of thing, and you guys are edging up a little bit more. This time you guys pounded us hard, or me, anyhow. And I want to know why, and I don't think this is acceptable.
So
you guys haven't given me anything extra, okay? You guys, like I say, some of the stuff that you guys do is okay. I have no complaints about that sort of thing, but Another thing, the Lathland Avenue is theoretically my back lane because I have a Bignell Avenue address. Of course, Lathland Avenue goes past my place, and then the back lane starts just past my property. So I've got a triangle property sort of thing. So anyways, not only is that considered my back lane, it's also considered a trucking highway. So the highways department goes by every year and slams me with that big snowplow there sort of thing. I finally talked to Larry down the other end, and they give me a bit of a break. They slow down before they fill in my driveway sort of thing, and that's all fine, well and good sort of thing. But when I phone the town and say, I'm all plowed in, what am I going to do? And the town says, well, that's the highways department. And then I phone the highways department and said, well, that's the town's responsibility. And I've been going back and forth like this for years sort of thing. I think I've got it cured. Okay, but the other thing is, when they go by with that snow plow and they push all that snow up on my boulevard, and I'm saying my boulevard because I'm paying the taxes for that, I'm maintaining that, I'm mowing the lawn and that sort of thing. This year specifically, there's a whole pile of gravel on the boulevard sort of thing. It's killed all the grass sort of thing. And of course we had an unusually dry spring, so it's dusty, really dusty. And the wind comes up and it just makes a mess sort of thing. Highway says it's not their responsibility to bring the sweeper in to sweep the gravel back off onto the road. So I can let the grass grow and I can maintain the property sort of thing. It's hard for me to take my lawnmower going through there sort of thing, and I'm, you know, if cars are going by, sometimes I'm spitting rocks at them sort of thing, and you know, it's like shrapnel going by, so I got to stop it. There's just different little things that you guys, basically, bottom line is, you put my taxes up $400 this year, and I want to know why. You haven't given me, and maybe this sounds selfish, and I don't care. I'm here representing me. It's my dollar. And you guys haven't done anything extra for me. None. So can you tell me why?
So I'm not sure if you've gone over our financial plan or
I
anything
don't
that
really
was
care
presented.
about your
But the financial plan is what you're talking about, right?
And I would want to see the whole gambit. I would want you to be transparent. I would want to see where you're spending your money, who's doing the books, and who's basically mismanaging the funds here.
And if there's no mismanagement, I want to make that clear, but that's exactly what our financial plan lays out for you. And again, our financial plan is done during a public hearing. It's presented for everybody to hear. Copies are made available at the town office. They're available online, so people can see a copy before they come. They're available anytime after the public hearing throughout the whole year. Okay, but if you look at our financial plan, what you would see is we actually didn't ask the taxpayers for any more money this year than we did last year. I understand what you're saying. I understand that your taxes went up, but I'm saying that around this table and on this level, we actually managed to ask for a little bit less money. And why some people's taxes went up and some people's taxes went down is because of your assessment, because that's how our taxes are distributed, is an assessment-based system. So if your assessment,
get somebody to over-assess, and then it seems to give you the right to bring our taxes.
I think that you think that there's a conspiracy here between us and the assessment branch, and that's not it at all. Because the assessment on your house went up, that's why your taxes went up, unfortunately.
Why?
And there is a time and a place for you to dispute that. Every November, we have a hearing here where somebody can come in.
You want my taxes in August, I can't wait till November.
I'm sorry, but we have a process that we have to follow, and that's the process. So once a year, we hold a hearing for people to come in and to dispute their tax bills.
So why didn't you tell me this was coming up before last November's meeting, so I could have disputed then before you guys charging me an extra $400?
Because you can't dispute this year's tax bill until you get it, right? So,
That's
and
right.
now we have to wait to have the
That's
hearing.
right, so I would like to see a meeting or something or other before November comes, or before I need to pay my taxes sort of thing.
Okay, sorry, I'm going to go around the table. Brian, Chad, and then Alan.
Okay, thank you. I had all the similar concerns you had on last year's taxes, and I made the call to the assessment branch because that's where it all starts. When they come in and assess, they do market value. People, one, need to realize that the average increase in residential in this community went up 26% in that assessment.
In 1 year?
Yes, because that's the market value. It's the old thing of That's the way the assessment system works, so that's what happens.
Well, I
Now you
brought all my
yeah.
tax bills here from 2012 sort of thing, and they never went up this much until this year. They were going up like 50, 40, 70, 80, $100 or whatever sort of thing. Why this much now?
Well,
What do you guys want to buy?
It's not us.
maybe what's not happening is those potholes we are all concerned about weren't getting filled, but your taxes didn't go up. Some of the work we need to do in our community on our infrastructure doesn't get done so we can maintain low taxes. And over time, that becomes a problem that we hear people express, which is important that we hear. But the difficulty is, if you want something out of this hand, you've got to kind of give with the other. And taxes is the way it happens. The difficulty with assessment is, once we do assessment, when we do a budget, we're only one party to the budget. Another party to the budget is school division and school tax. We do ours, we look at ours. I can say that in the last two budgets, because this current council's only done two, we've maintained the bottom line within hundreds of dollars type of thing. Not a lot. Well, it's not hundreds of thousands of difference and great expenses. We've been working at doing it within. We've tightened it up. So we pass those savings along. The challenge is when your property assessment goes higher, that becomes a multiplier in calculating your taxes.
See, I'm sitting there and nothing extra is done, and I haven't done anything extra really sort of thing. I've maintained my property to the point where some of you guys aren't coming around and saying, oh, that fence needs painting, or boy, your place looks like a mess sort of thing. And I've been doing all this, and I've just been sitting in the bush, and like I say, it's a little bit of raise here and there, a little bit of raise there. I understand there's a cost of living. I understand you have staff. I understand you have machinery and all this other stuff that you need to do what you're doing sort of thing. But my biggest problem is I got slammed this year.
Right.
And I'm on a fixed budget now sort of thing. So now I'm starting to take an aggressive stance on this. And I don't think that this is acceptable.
I too am a senior on a fixed budget. I think what we need to understand is all we can do to maintain taxes at the level they're at for the town. We can't control school division. We can't control what the assessment branch does when it comes along and says your property now is worth more than it was. We don't have any control over that. The challenge is we, as a council, flatten it. And we try to keep that while we're still doing additional work, doing things differently, finding savings within the existing budgets and whatnot. So we're limited on what we can do to solve the problem that you and other taxpayers have.
That's another brick wall I'm running into too sort of thing. I haven't had any children in school in almost 20 years sort of thing, and I'm still paying school taxes. And every couple of 3 years, I ask it again like I'm asking again. Why should I pay school taxes if we're not using the system? Here's something else. Why am I paying for Wood Acres 2? I don't live there. Why am I paying for the multiplex? I don't use it. Why am I paying for the wellness center? I don't use it. Why am I paying for the pool? I don't use it. Now, there's something that's not fair. There's something that's just not computing in this sort of thing. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be a pain in your butts for the next little while sort of thing, every year if I have to, in every meeting.
Okay. That's your right to be a pain, and I admire you for doing it. If I may just say, though, if you thought that when you got your assessment now that it was out of whack, that what they were assessing your property at and what they were assessing your buildings at were an unreal amount, and it had gone up that much, then, there was a portion on that said that what you should do is appeal. I went in a newspaper, I went on the radio, I went through social media, I suggested that everybody who was not happy with their assessment should appeal their assessment.
To who?
For one reason, the province has said that everything in the province of Manitoba is just tickety-boo, but we don't have job growth, we don't have expansion of our community. We negotiated a very strong deal with our unionized employees. They understood that there's a penny's worth due, and we put it together and not ask for one more cent to operate this community, not one more cent. And I'm sorry that yours went up $400. That just sucks. And you should go to the province and say, hey, my assessment's too high. If you don't like your school taxes, they're not right. You need to go to the school board and say, hey, my taxes are too high.
Who do we appeal to? Exactly.
The assessment branch.
Can I get an address and a phone number or somewhere for you guys in regards to appealing this? Because this
If you let Randy speak for
I'm
a
not
minute.
going to let this lie this year. I come in, every time I come into these meetings, I rant and I rave a little bit sort of thing, and I try to give you guys a few kudos here and there sort of thing, just to lighten things up. But this is getting out of hand.
In about September to October of each year, you're going to be getting a little paper that says this is not a tax bill, this is an assessment notice. During that, it'll tell you if you don't get one, there is no change in your assessment. If you do get one, there's been usually a significant change in your assessment. In there, it gives you the way that you appeal for your assessment value. That takes place November of each year. Last November was appealing the 2016 assessment.
Which is this one, which I didn't get.
And that, like, did you receive a notice that said there was a change in your assessment?
Nope. Otherwise, it would have been here because I keep everything.
And that might be something you want to talk to assessment branch to ensure they have the proper information for you. Because when there is a change, even if it's a name change, any kind of change on your property, they do send you a notice, and maybe it just didn't get to you. I don't know if they have the right address.
I did phone them. I did phone them about a week and a half ago there, and I asked if they would kindly please remove my wife's name from my property tax bill because she died 14 months ago, sort of thing. And they wanted $100 out of my pocket to do that. Like,
Unfortunately, they can't.
I mean, give me a break. Jesus Christ, there's enough people there with their hands in our pockets already.
Yeah, and that's actually through land titles that requires that change in order to take it off the assessment branch, because even we can't do that.
You know what's happening here, sort of thing? You guys are going to drive people out of town. Taxes are going to get way out of whack, and people are just going to leave. And then you're going to have less money to work with, and your taxes are going to go up even more to make up for that. It's kind of like hydro sort of thing this year, sort of thing. We didn't hardly use any hydro sort of thing. They're going to put the rates up to make it up.
I can tell you,
Again, right on.
if you need assistance in filling out that form or doing any of the revision, like board of revision that you feel, I think we're happy to help you out with it.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's going to help in time for this one sort of thing, but I'm not pleased.
You can still
Okay, sorry, we're just doing the chat. I don't know if you still had a comment.
would like to say how very proud I am to be people on council and with the people who work with the town of Law, that we were able to put together a budget that doesn't spend one more cent than it did last year, not one more cent, and still offer the same services. So, you know, I mean, I hear you loud and clear, but your fight is not with the town of the Paw. Your fight is with the province of Manitoba.
Well, I got the property bill, and I'm assuming my fight is with the town of the Paw, because town of the Paw, it says right at the top of the property bill here. So this is the first place I'm going to come to start bellyaching a little bit, sort of thing. And if you want to, you know, if you want to give me some ammunition as to who to get to, sort of thing. If I have to get a petition, and if I have to get 1,000 people on that petition, and we all hire a lawyer, then maybe we're going to open a big can of worms here. But enough is enough.
No, you're suggesting that we're doing something on the side that's silly.
Okay,
I
sorry.
wonder why people are
Alan?
moving out to Rawls Island and Carrot River, sort of thing. Sort of.
Did you still have a
Everybody says,
comment?
they shouldn't do that.
No?
Sure.
Okay, sorry,
Just
Alan.
so you're clear though, like how it works is, it costs so much money to run all this stuff.
I understand.
Right, so I get, so
I
2014
understand.
to 2015 we came in, didn't change. Last year that ask went down. So overall, what it costs to run the town is down a mill rate from it was the previous year, the first year we were here. How it gets distributed out to everyone is based on your assessment.
Doesn't help me.
I know that, but what I'm saying is it's not a function, as Brian said, of what we do, right? What it costs to operate and pay everyone in town and run the departments.
I understand that.
That amount of money actually, to run it, went down. Even with inflation, it went down.
Yeah.
Right? So you're saying that we're sticking to with tax. I'm saying no, it's how it gets distributed to everyone in the community is based on your assessed value of your home. And that's something we don't have any control over. So you're coming and you're asking, saying, well, we're not, we're sticking it to because our logo's at the top, but it's a function that's driven by your assessed value. So if you want to get that changed,
Jack, you can complete a form and have the assessors come to your house and assess your home for the values. They haven't been here.
Well, I would like somebody to come to
They
my
haven't been
house
here,
and
yeah.
explain to me
Sure.
why it went up
And
$400.
they will. If you contact them and you say, look, and I'm not sure because you missed the appeal period,
I
right?
didn't get the appeal notice.
So if you didn't get it, you phone them and you say, look, I got a good case here. You guys did not mail me the letter. And if they say, yes, we did, whatever, I'm sure that they will eventually concede that, yeah, we'll come and have a look at your
Just
home.
going by the averages of how
And
my
reevaluate.
assessments went up over the years, so
Yeah.
I think this was out of line.
So that's a point that you can make with them, and they will come to your home, review your home specifically, and come up with a new assessed value. If everything, if the value that they've decided is reflects the value of your home right now is in fact not accurate, your home is only worth $160,000, say, based on market value, because that's what they base their decisions on, then they'll adjust it if that's what they
If I were
find.
to sell my house, I wouldn't go by this anyhow. These guys haven't got a clue.
So then you have a very strong case for to have them come and reassess your property, and it would, based on your information, it should go down, that the assessed value would go down. But when they do their reassessments, it's a pretty broad brush. They look at house sales for a general area, for a general age of a general 3-bungalow home with a basement, and go, in general, those houses are selling for about $30,000 more than they were last year.
Between now and the time they actually get here to assess my property, I'm going to quit mowing my lawn. I'm going to spread garbage all over the place. I'm not going to paint anything. I'm just going to let it look like just a ramshackle shack, and maybe it'll go down a couple $1,000s.
I'm just telling you that that's the process.
That's too. The more you maintain your house, the more you make it look good, the more you give the town, you have town pride sort of thing, and make everything look good, they tax you for it. And anybody who's got a tent or sort of thing that's half fallen down sort of thing, they're not taxing it at all sort of thing. There's a lot of the stuff, and I'm sorry that you guys are going to be the brunt of this, but a lot of the stuff that you guys are doing doesn't make sense. These guys that are doing your assessments sort of thing, why are they doing the assessments? Where are they from? Where are they from? Are they from Oakland River or Dauphin or somewhere?
They're from Swan River. There is an office in Swan River, and I'm sure that we could invite everybody here to come up to the microphone and we could talk about this all night, but we do have a policy that when a citizen comes to speak, we give them 15 minutes, and you've had your 15 minutes, so I'm going to ask you to wrap it up.
How much time is these honorable gentlemen here that were on first there too?
They got 15 minutes. They got 15 minutes, so I'm going to give you about another 1 minute to wrap things up, and then I'm going to ask that we move on to the rest of the agenda, please.
I'm going to use a word that I've heard before, sort of thing. This is outrageous. Anyways, thank you for your time. Somebody give me an address to do the appeal sort of thing, and I'll be really appreciative about it.
Randy will follow up with you.
Randy will help you.
Good.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody else have a presentation that they would like to make from the citizens, period? Okay, please come to the microphone and state your name and your address for the record.
I will be very, very brief. Ron Borquin, 744 Taylor. He got me so excited there I didn't know where I lived. I've been the fire chief here for 23 years, so I know the things I can and can't say. All I am going to say is I understand you have some very, very important decisions to make on a specific item. I just hope that you do the best for the community and the safety of all. And that's all I'm here to say. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have his 14 minutes?
No, I'm sorry. Does anybody else have something that they would like to say during this citizens period?
Are you going to mail me that address, or do I come back for it, or what do you want me to do?
Can you leave me your phone number and I can even call you and give you your address?
623.
Yep.
5696.
5696?
Yeah.
I will be in touch with you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to move on to item number 5, which is the CAO report as of June 13th, 2016.
Basically, just an overview of various departments. Museum will once again be hosting another jewelry making workshop on June 26th. This is something they've partnered with in the past with the Paul Regional Library and has been very well attended. They're also preparing for a funding application to the Canada 150 program, and this is for celebration of Canada's 150th anniversary. And the summer students have already started at the museum on May 24th. KRC also received approval on Moffat Family Funds. I also understand KRC is applying for a Healthy Together Now grant. Recently, we fixed up our front office and did a bunch of reorganizing, so everything is complete and working efficiently. Business license and building bylaws are currently being reviewed with recommendations that will be forthcoming to council. Several planning and development inquiries regarding zoning and variation as it relates to development. It's that time of year. There's a lot of people just inquiring in general on construction, so it's been affecting our zoning bylaw and also affecting variations in conditional uses. Tax statements have been mailed out. This is probably a couple weeks earlier than we normally do. We were lucky to have completed our budget quite early this year. Preparation for 2015 audit is near completion. Our part will be pretty much done, and it'll be a matter of time just waiting for the auditors to come in and do the books accordingly in accordance with the regulations of the province. Tender for the upgrade of LaRose Avenue was posted, and it'll be closing on June 21st. So hopefully we can get that at least going by the middle of July to know who's doing what. Yard cleanup is ongoing in the town garage. We're actually getting a really good inventory of surplus material and equipment. It hasn't been done in such time, and we just need to dispose of stuff that we're no longer using. Curb cutting is underway. Asphalt and patching tender has been released. This is something that's usually quite difficult. I think this year we're going to have a little bit of luck with some outside people putting in tenders as there's other jobs going in and around the area. Engineering is working with Manitoba Water Services Board on the lagoon upgrades, which have been ongoing for quite some time. Working on the installation of park memorial benches. This is something basically where people purchase a concrete bench and they get a signatory sign that's put in memory of a loved one. And we've been selling a few of them lately, so right now that's kind of our priority to get them sold. Also working on the airport emergency exercise, which will be taking place at the end of June. What we're going to be doing is planning an emergency at the Town of Paw Airport. It's also going to become part of our Town of Paw Emergency Measures Plan. And this is a regulation of Transport Canada and also Emergency Measures Manitoba. So we want to let people know. It'll be an ad in the paper just so that we can let people know that it's not an actual disaster, but this is an emergency testing plan.
Okay.
So that's basically the last little bit.
Thank you, Andy. Does anybody have any questions or anything for Andy?
Sorry, what was that? I didn't hear.
Oh, I just said, does anybody have any questions or anything?
I think it's a very good report. Thank you, Randy.
Okay. Moving on, item 6.1, plastic bag bylaw.